This is Circus Fit. I'm Carrie, and today I want to talk to you about shoulder health and connection to your core. So shoulder health is a really big thing in aerial and acrobatics training, and there's many different ways to make sure that our shoulders are healthy. Also, the word health is really different for acrobats than it is for anybody else. So there's a lot of different things that we have to do to maintain the health of our shoulders so that we can continue to doing our practices. And today I'm going to show you a short sequence that I like to do daily, and you can do this as a warm-up to your aerial or acrobatics class, or you can do it at home just as a shoulder health exercise, or you can do it with or in front of, behind, or with any other exercise routine that you do. It's pretty easy and pretty simple, but it's really efficient and it works for me to keep my shoulders really well, in addition to many other exercises that I do and that you can do and should do. So first, before you go, make sure you start with like a really general short warm-up for your whole body, just so that you don't start cold. And if you want to do my general short warm-up, you can click the link in the comment section of this to do that with me. And then we'll get started. Here we go. So start with just a quick wrist warm-up. We've done a general warm-up. A quick wrist warm-up. Just go into all fours, spread your fingers nice and wide, put your weight through your whole hand, and then just lift and lower your wrists up and down, bringing as much weight into your hands as you can. So try not to bring too much weight back. Some people can do this even in a plank position, and then you can go all the way up to your fingers. You can do this more times if you need or if you want, and bring your fingers back and give yourself a little stretch. And here, why not, while you're stretching your wrists, give yourself a little disco kitty. Maybe shift your weight back and come up onto your fingers, or shift it forward a little bit, just to get your wrist a little bit warm. And then one at a time, you can flip your wrist over just to get a little stretch there. And if you have sensitive wrists, feel free to do more wrist warm-up than this. There's lots of other things that we can do, and so you can do that if you need. For now, shake it out, and we'll get started on our shoulders and core connection. Mostly this is for shoulders, but it's going to work our core a little bit. Let's start in downward facing dog. Push your shoulders back and externally rotate. So I mean push your shoulders, your armpits back towards your feet. And then take a little walk, just stretch it out. And now keeping your shoulders externally rotated, that means elbows reaching in towards the midline. Just shrug your shoulders up to your ears and down. Up and down. Up and down. Let's just do that about 10 times. We don't need to make it a conditioning routine. Just a warm-up. And really think about your shoulder blades sliding along the back of your rib cage. Next, we're going to take our shoulders into a neutral position. Lift our heels, pull our belly in, round our back, and come forward to plank. Straighten out. Drop the shoulders down and straighten out like a dart. And then bend your knees, come back into downward dog. Straighten your back nice and long here, and then keep doing that. Rounding forward and then straightening. Bend your knees and straighten and push your hips up and back. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, back. Trying to keep your shoulders externally rotated the whole time. More thinking about moving through our whole spine. Let's do that one more time. Breathing. And now come back into that plank and hold there. Now shrug your shoulders back together like you're squeezing your shoulders together and apart. Squeeze together and apart. And if you're too tired to do this right now, take your knees down, take a little break, or just take your knees down and do the same thing with your knees down, and then work up to doing it with your knees up. And you can do this about 10 times. Maybe this is 8, 9, 10 shoulders away from the ears. Bend your elbows in towards the side, come onto the floor. 5 Cobra Lifts. So baby cobra, just the chest. We're working the upper back here. We're not going into the low middle back. We're going into the upper back. So draw the shoulders back. Press the tops of your feet on the floor. You're breathing. I'm talking. So you're inhaling up. Exhale down. Let's do 2 more. And then stay up. Roll your shoulders back a couple times. Get a little relaxation into your neck. And if you want, internally rotate your legs and then lift your legs up from the thigh. Not from the knee, from the thigh. And then if you want, you can add your fingers back and do little, turn the doorknob things with your arms. Take a couple breaths here. Even more, you could squeeze your legs together. If you want a little bit more. And then press back into a yummy puppy dog. So karate chop, one hand down, slide your armpit towards the floor. So this is my left side, my right butt's gonna go towards the right. So stick my right butt out to the right as I put my left armpit down, outer armpit. Then you can go to the other side, same thing. And then what I like to do, because I'm still warming up, is just kind of go into a puppy dog here and like kind of smush around a little bit, going onto the outside of my arms, especially in the beginning, to really get into that lat stretch. That muscle you use a lot in your aerials. And then push yourself back onto your knees, sit onto your feet. If this isn't comfortable, sit up on a block, and then just do a couple little pelvic thrusts here. Little pelvic thrusts. So really I'm just squeezing my butt just a little bit, mostly engaging my hamstrings and some of my glutes, just to lift my hips open. I'm doing hip opener, so I feel this in my quads. Feels really nice, like a gentle stretch and a little bit intense. And then from there you can add on a little inhale or exhale and lift up a little bit higher and start to open your chest, rotating your shoulders open and back, starting to open the fronts of your shoulders and the pecs. Do this 3 to 5 times. And then maybe stay here, take a breath or two, relax your neck. You can look up or you can relax back if that's comfortable, or even drop your chin down if that's better for you. Drop it back, shake it out, and go into section 2. So we're going to start in downward facing dog, roll forward to plank, and then bring our knees down and bring our hands down. So we're going to do an elbow plank here. Step 1 for elbow plank, interlace your fingers down, make sure your elbows are under your shoulders, and tuck your toes and make your plank. Step 2, if you have a little bit more open shoulders, make your forearms parallel. Parallel, not like this, parallel. So that's externally rotating your shoulders in order to do that, and press your hands into the floor equally as your elbows. So I'm going to do step 1 for here. And drop the hips down, pull the belly in, lengthen the spine, and take a couple breaths here. Press your hands into the floor. And now press your elbows towards the midline, externally rotating. And now we're going to come forward and back a few times using our ankles. This is a great ankle warm-up too, because we're getting into the abs a little bit more. Now come to the center and roll your shoulders forward 5 times. Really feeling your shoulder blades moving in as well as your shoulder joint. Now roll it back 5 times. Keeping your elbows pressing into the midline slightly and your hands pressing slightly into the floor. Now last thing here, come into a neutral and bring your hips towards the floor. Right hip towards the floor, left hip towards the floor. Keep your legs together and try not to bring your butt up and over, but just straight through the middle. You might touch the floor all the way or you might not, depending on how much range of motion you have in your lower back and areas around there. Let's do this 10 times each side. So we'll do 3 more, 2 more, last one. Come back to the middle, hold it, point your right toes, lengthen your whole body, head forward, feet back, knees straight, hips low, belly in, and then go to the other side, point your left toes, point, 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 really stretch, 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 down, and then bring your knees down. Give yourself a yummy puppy. So you can do a little side to side if that feels good. Your shoulders are probably aching right now, that's good. You can do a little side to side, or you can go into a puppy this way. Good thing is to bring your hands up to make sure your shoulders are externally rotated. You can go into a little bit more of a chest and back stretch, or you can hollow your chest and back to get it more into your shoulders, wherever you need it most right now. You can do a little back and forth. Come back onto your knees, and let's do some more of those pelvic thrusts. So if it's better for you just to do the small ones, that's fine, but I prefer to do the whole body so that we can open into the chest and shoulders, which is the point of this video. Pull the belly in, and now open the shoulders back. You can also put something under your hands here, like some blocks or whatever you have to put under your hands, if it's too much of a stretch for you. I like to hang my head back, or maybe put it into a neutral and take a few breaths. Open the fronts of your shoulders. Press your sitting bones up towards the sky, so really use those hamstrings and feel your knees squeezing in like squeezing a block. Drop it down. This time we get a little reward, so we can take a little movement in the hips, circular motion. Feels so good. This is one of my favorite things to do any time of day to help loosen up into the holdings that I have in my hips and in my butt and my pelvis. Next thing we're going to do is go into downward facing dog and do kind of reverse vinyasas, like yoga vinyasas. And we're going to really work those arm connections here. So externally rotate, push your hips up. Now bend your elbows in towards your ribs, dive your head forward, and come up into an upward facing dog. My toes are still tucked behind me, my belly's in. I'm not collapsed into a back bend. I'm lifting up, and then I press back. Elbows in. Inhale, coming up here. Exhale, pull the belly in, and push it back. You can do this with your toes tucked, or you can go all the way to upward facing dog, and then roll over your toes. That might be a little bit challenging, so do what you want. One more. Do just about 5 of these. Woo. And then stay here, and you're gonna press long through your shoulders. So externally rotate, elbows reach in towards each other, press back, armpits reach towards the toes, lift the sitting bones up high towards the sky, an active stretch. So we're trying to get a longer line through the armpit, yeah? So one other thing that you can do here is push into one arm, like I'm gonna push into my right arm, the one that's closest to you, and then bring my hips towards the left, kind of what we did with the puppy. If that feels good to you, you can do that. Make sure to externally rotate, and then the other way. And push it on back, and just breathe here, reach your heels down. And then one more thing here, bringing your knees down. One more time, let's push up into our pelvic thrust. Lifting up, open the chest. Breathe, take 2 breaths here. Press, now make it a butt thing here. Press your sitting bones up, use your hamstrings. Open the fronts of your hips, come on down. Last thing here is a dolphin. So once again, step 1, interlace your fingers, make sure your elbows are about shoulder width apart, not too wide. Step 2 is parallel hands. Make the number 11 with your hands. I'll start with step 1, hands together, tuck your toes. And if you're in step 2, just do the same thing with your hands parallel, your arms parallel. So we're going into our dolphin. Walk your feet in as comfortably as you can. If you want, for me, if you're tight in your hamstrings and hips, spread your legs nice and wide and bend your knees a little to make a little bit more space for lifting your hips and making a longer line through your body, yeah? If you're more flexible, you can walk your feet a little closer in towards each other. Shoulders press up and long, and then press your armpits back towards your feet. Press your hands into the floor, squeeze your elbows towards the midline. So there's your dolphin. Step 2, if you're on step 1, just stay here as long as you can, take a break when you need. Step 2 is hands down, arms parallel, same thing. So this time we have a little bit more lift and length through the whole body, lifting the pelvis out of the rib cage, lifting the rib cage out of the shoulders, lifting the head off the floor, squeezing the elbows towards each other, and press your hands into the floor. Don't let your hands float off. Press them down into the floor. And then step 3 here, if you've mastered step 2, is to take one hand off. My right hand will reach back towards my right leg or my right ankle or wherever. And then my left shoulder will press as long as it can. So this left armpit is pressing back towards my left ankle. Pressing my left hand still into the floor, not letting it slide up and start doing some weird creature thing. And then I can go to the other side. So now left hand, so I place my right arm nice and parallel. Left hand reaches back. I can rock my feet in there if I want. And then here, see, there's this tendency to kind of rock out of the stretch. So now I'm going to push back into the stretch. Pushing my shoulder back, pressing my hand down, make sure to externally rotate so that I'm not sliding into this hand in V position, but press long through the shoulder. And then the tendency also is to do some kind of weird torquey thing here. So hips are square, the whole back is square, and I want to really think about my belly button being the center point here. So the press of my right arm is connecting to my belly button. And we can bring both back. And wherever you're at, you're probably really tired of that one because we've been there for a while. Shake it out. Take some deep breaths. do some more sexy yoga here. So moving around in circles with your hips, one way and then the other way. And that's it for this exercise. There's so many more that we can do, but I recommend doing this series every day or whenever you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day and hope to see you soon down here at Casa Chango, Mexico. See ya.